The Dallas Cowboys are hiding this from the NFL, so we're going to be going through that in today's video and 4 other stories, so make sure to like this video, and if you want more Dallas Cowboys content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel hitting that red button down below. So let's get into the first story, because the Dallas Cowboys have been hiding from the NFL that they have been heavily recruiting Odell Beckham Jr. The Dallas Cowboys are in the middle of a hectic week as they dismantled the Minnesota Vikings 2 days ago and will host the New York Giants in as many days. We are very well accustomed to how quickly things can fly during the week of Thanksgiving. While the Cowboys have an important game to tend to that will have significant ramifications on their standing in the NFC East and the NFC as a whole, they also have a roster decision to address. To be fair, this doesn't seem to be as much of a decision as much as it is an outright declaration, given that the Cowboys have been very blunt about how much they want Odell Beckham Jr. to join up with them. Beckham is coming off of a torn ACL that he suffered in the Super Bowl and appears to be ready for action. On Monday night, he posted some clips of him working out, and in the same window of time, NFL Network gave a strong indication that Dallas was the favorite to land him. The Cowboys are doing everything that they can to land OBJ, and that has included recruitment by way of players on the team. Dak Prescott went a little into detail on Tuesday exactly what he has said and done to help make all of this a reality. These are some incredibly forward words from Dak Prescott. He not only lays all of his cards on the table as far as how much he and his teammates want Beckham to join them, but he goes as far as saying that he knows the interest is mutual. There is not smoke preceding fire here. We are in the middle of the flames. They have overtaken this entire thing. A report on Sunday morning noted that Dallas and the New York Giants were among the finalists for Beckham's services. With Dallas winning and New York losing, that seemingly made things easier, and obviously the Cowboys can put even more distance between themselves and the Giants with a win on Thanksgiving Day. This is one of the more unique free agent rumor cycles to hit the Cowboys, because just about everybody is acting like it is inevitable. So the second story is Jerry Jones believes that this Dallas Cowboys squad can win the Super Bowl. Last week, Dallas Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones used the word frustrated over and over again after an overtime loss at the Green Bay Packers. On Sunday, following a 40-3 win against the Minnesota Vikings, Jones said he believes the Cowboys are Super Bowl contenders. A resounding yes. Unequivocally, Jones said, "I think we've had adversity. We very easily could have more adversity. Yes, I think if we use the experience of what we're having in the season, then we're going to be playoff ready. But I sure do think that what I see out here right now is the team like that you could go get a Super Bowl with." At 7-3, the Cowboys are 2 games behind the 9-1 Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC East, and Dallas throttled the only other team in the conference with more wins, the 8-2 Vikings, with its largest road win in team history. The New York Giants also are 7-3, but the Cowboys beat them earlier in the season, and they will host New York on Thanksgiving for the first holiday matchup against their division rivals. "I too thought this game was going to tell us what we are," Jones said. "I don't know that we're that. I really don't. But I know this, that we're not a team that doesn't respond when it's wounded. Everybody thought against the Packers that we underplayed, and I think you saw what happened when we got out here tonight. And the team all came together. We'll build from this." The last time the Cowboys had such a resounding road victory was in 1995, beating the Giants 35-0 in the season opener. Those Cowboys would go on to win the Super Bowl. In 1971, the Cowboys beat the Eagles 42-7 in Philadelphia and would go on to win the Super Bowl. "This week was a statement week," said linebacker Micah Parsons, who had 2 of the Cowboys' 7 sacks on Sunday. "It says what we're capable of when we put our mind to it." The Cowboys will have help on the way with the return of Pro Bowl left tackle Tyron Smith in December. He is close to returning to practice from a torn hamstring in training camp that required surgery. Jones also confirmed that free agent wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. will visit with the Cowboys after the Giants game, although Jones didn't have a specific date set. The Cowboys over the past few weeks have flirted with Beckham, who is rehabbing from a torn ACL suffered in the Super Bowl while with the Los Angeles Rams. Jones would not get into what he wants to see from Beckham besides his health. "Certainly, it's time for us to sit down and visit," Jones said. Sunday's win against the Vikings could not have been a better recruiting video for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott completed 88% of his passes, which was 3rd best in team history. Tony Pollard became the first Cowboys running back with 100 receiving yards and 50 rushing yards in the same game since Emmitt Smith in 1993. Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott became the first pair of Cowboys running backs with 2 touchdowns in the same game since 1980. The Dallas defense had 7 sacks, its most in a game since 2008, and ended the Vikings' game streak with a touchdown, which had been the longest in the league. "We had a good week. I think it's always rewarding as a football team when your process lines up with your performance," Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy said. We wanted to come in here and play a complete game. We did. We had all the respect for these guys. They've been extremely productive on film, and we knew we needed to play at a high level today, and we did. Heading into our third story as the Dallas Cowboys snapped the Vikings' 7-win streak. The Dallas Cowboys had some hard conversations with each other after their collapse last week at Green Bay. They took out all that frustration and then some on the Minnesota Vikings, who might need a serious talk themselves after their 7-game winning streak came to a screeching halt. Tony Pollard had 2 touchdown catches with a career-high 189 yards from scrimmage, and the Cowboys sacked Kirk Cousins a career-most 7 times Sunday in a 40-3 victory over the Vikings. We kind of found our formula, just running the ball, pounding the defense, dominating on all phases of the game, Pollard said. Dak Prescott was flawless at quarterback. Ezekiel Elliott rushed for 2 scores in his return from injury, and Brett Maher made 4 field goals, including a 60-yarder to end the first half. The Cowboys scored on their first 7 possessions, and the defense was just as good. Micah Parsons and Dorrance Armstrong had 2 sacks apiece in the 5th largest loss ever for the Vikings, and the biggest road win in Cowboys history. This league has a way of humbling any football team at any point in time if you don't play good football, Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell said. The Vikings have been the king of the comebacks in an NFL season featuring the smallest average winning margin in 90 years. None more remarkable than last week at Buffalo when they turned a 17-point deficit late in the 3rd quarter into an overtime victory. Parsons promised Prescott and the offense this week the Cowboys would never again lose a 14-point 4th quarter lead like they did last week for the first time in franchise history when they fell in overtime to the Packers. I welcome constructive criticism, Parsons said, and when you have that balance of understanding it's okay and giving that back, it turns out really good. They carried out a near-perfect game plan from offensive coordinator Kellen Moore and defensive coordinator Dan Quinn with stunning ease. After surrendering 200 rushing yards in consecutive games for the first time since their 1960 inaugural season, the Cowboys flipped the script by gaining 108 yards on the ground in the first half. 7 of their 8 third-down conversions came by rushing. The snapshot of the afternoon came soon after halftime when the Cowboys faced 3rd and 14. With no hurry to throw, Prescott found Pollard in a one-on-one mismatch with linebacker Jordan Hicks and lofted a pass near the sideline for a 68-yard score that gave Dallas a 30-3 lead. That touchdown was all Kellen, Prescott said, praising his play caller. The Vikings were so out of sorts they had 6 penalties for 54 yards in the 3rd quarter alone. Cousins finished 12 for 23 for 105 yards and a lost fumble that Parsons forced with a blindside sack the first time the Vikings tried to pass. Justin Jefferson, coming off a career-high 193 receiving yards against the Bills, had 33 yards on 3 catches. We've got a lot of work to do in a short amount of time, Hicks said. Pollard, the Cowboys' most dangerous weapon on offense all season with Prescott and Elliott missing time to injuries and CeeDee Lamb still finding his way as the #1 receiver, finished with 6 catches for 109 yards and 15 rushes for 80 yards. He can do a lot of different things to help this offense and this team, and he's just continuing to show it. Prescott said. The Vikings had their largest margin of defeat since November 14, 2011, when they lost 45-7 at Green Bay. The Cowboys notched their biggest win since beating Buffalo 44-7 on November 13, 2011. Although Minnesota still has the 2nd-best record in the NFC, all but one of its wins have come in one-score games, and its 2 losses have come by a combined 54 points. Overall, Minnesota has been outscored 231-229. Maher has 4 60-plus-yard field goals in his career, the most in NFL history. He even made the 60-yarder twice, after a late stoppage for replay review negated the first kick he got off before the Cowboys heard the whistle. 3 of Maher's makes were from 50-plus yards, giving him the single-season team record with 7. Cowboys host the New York Giants on Thursday. The Cowboys beat the Giants 23-16 on September 26th. Dallas has lost 3 straight Thanksgiving Day games. Vikings host the New England Patriots on Thursday night, the first Thanksgiving Day home game in franchise history. They last played on the holiday in 2017, a 30-23 win at Detroit. The 4th story is Trevon Diggs is looking better in 2022. As frequently as Trevon Diggs snatched the ball away from opposing quarterbacks last season, he received hate and criticism from both fans and the media. The majority of these detractors ignored what style of defense Diggs was playing for Dan Quinn and what kind of philosophy the defensive coordinator wanted in Dallas. But in 2022, with some adjustments from both the cornerback and the defensive mastermind, Diggs is looking like an elite player in coverage, and most haters have gone missing. Through 11 weeks this season, Diggs has the 2nd most PBUs in the NFL, 2nd most interceptions, and boasts a top 10 PFF coverage grade. The Cowboys' top corner has dramatically improved this aspect of his game. Right now, he owns the 6th lowest missed tackle rate in the league among qualifying cornerbacks per PFF. That's a significant improvement after ranking 31st in the league at the end of last year. That seems like a routine play, maybe, but I doubt there's anything common about doing that against the guy with the 5th most yards after the catch in the NFL. While many focus on the coverage aspect of things, don't overlook this obvious reason for improvement. Your favorite Cowboys defensive back is bringing guys down.